Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Making It Work
God's
Way.
Way.
I'm Nadia,
I am Osvaldo.
and today we're talking about the great decision.
Yes, how important.
So, this great decision, what is the great decision, Osvaldo?
Well, today we are talking about the great decision, and we are reading today from chapter 6 of the Adventist Home. A happy or unhappy marriage?
A happy or an unhappy marriage? Well, I think everyone wants to have a happy marriage, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way, maybe because of some of the decisions we made prior to getting into the marriage. So, what does the chapter 6 say about a happy or an unhappy marriage?
If those who are contemplating marriage would not have a miserable, unhappy reflections after marriage, they must make it a subject of serious, earnest reflection now. This step taken unwisely is one of the most effective means of ruining the usefulness of young men and women. Life becomes a burden, a curse. No one can so effectually ruin a woman's happiness and usefulness and make life a hard, sickening burden as her own husband.
Now, that's some strong words right there. A hard, sickening burden. Wow.
Yes, it says that life becomes a burden, a curse. Because what's happening is when a marriage takes place, and you shall leave your mother and your father and cleave with that better half that you have found. When that is not happy, when that was not God's will for your life to go in union with that man, you are in union together with him. So because it's you and him alone, then that man can make your life miserable if that was an unwise decision.
So how do you think that can happen? A husband making a wife's life miserable. What are some of the things that you think can happen to cause something like that?
Well, in first place, in a selfish relationship. A selfish relationship where the husband just seeks his own happiness.
Okay, he seeks his own happiness.
His own success. Do not spend time with the wife. And above all, do not have God in the life neither.
Okay, because when a man is connected to God, then he knows how to love. That's one of the things that God had to teach me. As a matter of fact, in deciding, preparing to be married and to be a wife, he had to teach me that in order for you to love someone else, Nadia, you have to actually know me and love me. You have to actually love the way I love, meaning that I don't take perfect beings and love them. I love them where they are, and as they get to know me, they change. They become better. And so you have to understand that you have to learn to forgive, and you have to learn to love your husband for the person that he is, but at the same time, aspire and inspire him to love God more so that he in turn can be a better husband. So loving each other is important, but before you even are able to love another person, one should really seek to get into a deep relationship with God, a loving knowledge of the Lord.
Yes, because the Lord will reveal to you in one way or the other if that person is the one for your life.
Yeah, so let me ask you, Mr. Rodriguez, now that you brought that up, how did the Lord reveal to you that I was the person that you should unite with and marry?
Well, in first place, when I started dating you, I started seeing a lot of things in common. Me and you had that special connection. We did not have major contradictions in the dating process.
Oh, that came in the marriage, huh?
That probably is developing. However, we always try to have control and to always try to put God first.
Yeah.
But I knew that you were the one because I said to the Lord that I needed to get in a relationship that will last, that I am not in a game. And then when you met me and we spoke, you told me that you are not that you wanted to be in a serious relationship, that you were not to be your heart broken again or
Yeah,
something like that.
I remember
And
that.
so when I give you that flower and that kiss, and
Oh my goodness.
I told you, I am serious about this relationship.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. The thing about it is, I had past relationships and they had all failed. And one of the reasons I feel it was that way was because God was not in those relationships. It was relationships where I wanted to please myself. I liked someone and I wanted to be in a relationship with them. When you came around, I had already been in a season with God. I had had my heart broken. I had been in a season with God for many years. I had not dated for over 10 years. I had not dated because I had made my mind up that I wasn't going to date another person until he was my husband. But, that could be scary for a guy to hear when he comes to show interest to a girl like, I'm not dating you unless you're going to marry me. No, it's not that. I just told you that I don't date casually. I date young men that I feel God has led me to so that the relationship can progress into a marriage. And that is what happened with you.
Yes, and I praise the Lord for that, because I was serious in the relationship, and I am serious with our marriage from the beginning. And couples don't realize of the importance of not rushing into a marriage. Just take your time,
Yeah.
date a year and a half, whatever it takes for the Lord to reveal to you
That the time is
that the
right.
time is right to
Yeah.
go ahead with the marriage. Because a rush decision a rush decision. Some people, for example, get married because they wanted to get out of the parents' house, or they wanted to have their own privacy. These are no reasons to get married.
Yeah.
You have to wait on the Lord, and you have to also be sure that that is the person from whom you're going to spend the rest of your life.
And that's the
Because
rest of your life. That's a long time. Look at it
that's
really
it's
seriously
a
like an
long
investment.
covenant. It's a long
Exactly.
covenant, long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Because you are not getting married to get divorced in
No.
2 years. You're not getting married. But however,
Now, hold on one there. Hold
self-seeking.
on one there. Right there, Pappy. I want to say that if you are listening and you a person who have gone down the road and unfortunately have been divorced, we are not telling you that you were wrong for the decision that you made, but we are saying to you, our listeners, that the purpose for coming together isn't to divorce. And I think that sometimes we have that in the back of our minds. We think, well, you know what, if this doesn't work out, I can just get a divorce. But I love the fact that you said that your purpose for coming together was not at all with a divorce in mind at all.
And I don't think that young people, um they have never come to a point to get married. That is not in their mind. No one gets married thinking that they're going to get divorced in a year or two on the road.
Uh-huh.
I think that misleading, and also misconceptions of marriage,
Yes, definitely.
and also, as I say, self-seeking, also in-laws problems,
Yeah,
and
issues
then
with in-laws.
also sometimes financial problems, and also unfaithfulness.
Definitely.
So what's happening? These are some of the major causes of divorce right
Yeah.
now. But I wanted to say that when you go in a marriage is, it can positively influence you or negatively influence you. So that is important not to rush. That's why it's important not to rush. Because an unhappy marriage, it can decay in your
Yeah,
life.
cause decay in your life. Yeah.
Yes, you become older, gray hair grows
Mm.
more
Well, I have a
often.
few gray hairs here,
like
Osvaldo.
like really, really, when you are in a miserable,
Stressful.
stressful,
Uh-huh.
all of those things are not healthy.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just like they cannot take it anymore, but because they may not probably have seeking help, sometimes people just decided to get out of the marriage
Mm-hmm.
without trying professional or spiritual help.
Yes.
Because the spiritual help is better than the professional help, in terms that God has all the answers. Professional help is not discarded, but spiritual help, when you go in the Lord in prayer, a family that prays together, stay together, all of those things are positive influences to the marriage. So just to you listening out there, you seeking marriage, just wait and don't rush, and then wait for signs, speak to the Lord
Yes, that's
and
so
things like that,
important. Yeah.
because whatever you're going to do in the future is going to influence you positively or negatively in your marriage, and you want to be a happy wife.
Yeah, I definitely want to be a happy wife, and you also want to be a happy husband. And one of the things that we did do was that we set aside a particular day that we would fast and pray for God's direction. Now, I remember the first time when we prayed together as a couple, I remember praying, God, if this relationship is not pleasing to you, we ask that you would end it before we get married. And you were mad at me for that. You really got upset. How could you ask God to end our relationship? And then I had to explain to you that it is better that we know now before we get into a marriage that this is not going to work, it's not the will of God, than to be in a marriage and find out later it's not the will of God. It will be harder. And so as soon as I explained that to you, you understood why we had to pray a prayer like that. And that is a hard prayer. To anyone listening, it is a hard prayer, but it's a necessary prayer. That you ask God to remove the person from your life if it is not His will. Coming together with you became easier knowing that it was the will of God, because it gave me an assurance that if we hit bumps in our road, if things get difficult, God's will is to
Make
have
the
us
way.
together. Exactly. So He's going to make way. And that's the
And
name
that's
of
the
this
song,
show, Making It Way,
God's
Making It
way.
Work God's
God's
way.
way.
Yeah. So that was very, very important to both of us, praying constantly, privately and collectively as a couple, praying to God for His direction. And I'm going to be honest with you, when things come up, because if you're praying to God for His direction, He's going to give it to you. And everything that comes up may not be pleasant, but He allows you to deal with it. God knows you better than anyone else. So you can trust His judgment. Who else should you turn to except for God if you want to make a decision like this great decision?
Yes, I think that there is something called premarital counseling.
Yes.
Premarital, and there's postmarital counseling too. And couples out there should seek premarital counseling with qualified persons, because it's not the same dating as when you are marrying the person. You get to know the person really when you marry the person,
Yeah.
because when you are dating you get to know the person but based on what the next person is saying, but there is nothing like to live together. So with this in mind, if you are dating someone, just just wait for the Lord's direction. Don't just rush and move in with the person. Do things God's way.
And you brought up a very good point, because out there, many times people think, okay, I have to live with my boyfriend first in order to know if this is the right person, so that I can know if we can live together. But honestly, you don't have to do that. If you
No.
put your life in God's hands, He is not going to lead you down the wrong path because you trust Him. And it's simple. We trust some persons in our lives, like parents, friends, other people that we lean on for advice, and we trust them. So we trust their advice. We trust the direction that they may lead us. We trust the way that they're showing us. And this is the same thing when you have a relationship with God. You lean on Him, heavily on Him. You depend on Him for the direction that your life should go in. So you eliminate those things about moving in together before we become married, because we know that's not His way. You do not have to figure out how it should work on your own, because God is going to figure that out for you.
Yes, and that crushes the excitement in the marriage,
Exactly. Very good
because
point, Poppy.
because besides that it's not God's way. When you move in with the person even before you marry, that may change the perspective of getting married,
Of course.
because some people never get married. because they say, okay, that's enough. We are together. That's it. But that is a major problem
Yeah.
and a major spiritual
Issue. Yeah.
issue that does not agree with the will of God, which
Definitely.
is for us to keep um, loving Him, keeping all His commandments, and being pure. And when you do that, you are living in sin. However, there is a possible restoration, and
Yeah.
that restoration is coming to God.
And doing things
Coming to
right.
God and doing things
Yeah.
right. There is always a room for improvement, and you can always correct your life. You can
Yeah.
always correct the ways in which you move and correct your decisions
Yeah,
that you
because
make.
the Bible does teach us that we are not only to be hearers of this word,
But
but
doers.
also doers. So when God gives us new light, He expects us to repent and walk in a different way. And listen to me, listeners, the gift that God has given us, one of the first gifts that He has given us in this world, was a marriage. He gave Adam a gift when He gave Adam Eve. And so this is a gift that He wants all of us to experience and have. And so, since He is the creator of the gift, don't you think we should lean on Him and lean on His ways and follow His ways as we look or connect ourselves with another
Yes.
individual?
Definitely, we have to look at God and to wait on Him for this decision of 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 becoming one with a partner.
Yeah. So, what else does chapter 6 say of the Adventist home? And if you're out there and you've never heard about this book is authored by Ellen G. White and it's available online. You can Google it, and you can Google Ellen G. White writings and it will come up, and you can look for her book, The Adventist Home. And it really has wonderful advice and counsel on how a home in general can be ran, including one of a newly wedded couple or one of couples seeking to be married.
It says here the vital factors in the choice. Great care should be taken by Christian youth in the formation of friendships and in the choice of companions. Take heed lest what you now think to be pure gold turns out to be the base metal.
Oh, wow. So pure gold, what we thought was pure gold, changes to some kind of lower level metal.
And worldly associations tend to place obstructions in the way of your service to God, and many souls are ruined by unhappy unions, either business or matrimonials, with those who can never elevate or ennoble.
Wow, that's powerful, Osvaldo. But it points out something very, very profound. One of the things that was important to us as well is that when we came together also spiritually, meaning that both of us had a relationship with God, but it wasn't only our desire to have a relationship with God, it was our desire that when we came together, we would be useful in the work of God together as well. And that's important.
Yes, we used to have, and we had a prayer day where
Yeah.
we pray every Wednesday for marriage, for the relationship, for the future of our union, and we always were in tune with God's will. The thing is, sometimes when the marriage occur, nor either of the parts should change. You should continue
Yeah, grow.
living that relationship, life relationship.
Yeah.
Maintain the relationship alive.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the responsibilities of the world, the work, your job, your responsibilities out there, sometimes even the in-law, all of those things influences negatively in the marriage, and
Yeah.
sometimes they fall apart. Sometimes there are couples that just see each other in the night, or sometimes have evening shift and they don't even see each other. That is not a healthy relationship, because you start falling apart.
Yeah, and the thing about it is something that helps you not to fall apart is that spiritual connection, coming together to pray, coming together to read devotion. We had a devotion that we read, a beautiful book that we read. It was a year devotion. It took us longer than a year, but the beauty of that was every time we faced an issue, it seemed that when we opened that book, the devotion spoke directly to us, leading us in the way. And this is another way that God provides. So having that spiritual connection within the marriage is so important.
Yes, but we are very encouraged and we wanted to continue with God's way because that is the way that will lead us to salvation when the time shall be no more.
And Osvaldo, this topic has been a very exciting one, and we'll just like to invite you back for part 2
Next
of that
time.
great choice. Yes, this is Making It Work.
God's way.
I'm Nadia.
I am Osvaldo.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Yes.
See you next time.
See you later.